Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstrow of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
And thank you for joining us on your City Manager's Report, your source for all of the latest and greatest local news events happening right here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, as well as a preview of the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda highlights. I'm your host, Emily Springstrow, joined by our City Manager, Mark Roloff. So welcome, Mark. Thanks for joining us on this episode.
Great to be here, Emily.
Always great to have you. We're going to go ahead and dive into the first half of today's show with some of the hot topics. We'll take a little break, and we'll return with a review of the council meeting agenda for Tuesday, January 28th, 2020. So, Mark, first thing that we want to talk about here is the Sawdust District Open House. This is coming up on January 29th. It's at 5 o'clock at City Hall. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect at this open house for the Sawdust District.
Staff has been working on developing the outline for a plan for the Sawdust District for up to 2 years now. We've had some people, some stakeholders involved in it, and now we're ready to unveil it. So one of the people who was helping us, one of our stakeholders, created this little logo to give you kind of a feel for what the Sawdust District is. And what we've done with staff is we've taken the entire Sawdust District and we've actually broken it up into different sub-areas because every area has its own little character. For example, Pioneer Island, clearly a very unique part of it. Also, the Menominee Nation Arena area, and then other areas that go along with those, and just trying to piece those all together because they're different in their own different ways. So we're ready to present the plan to the council, but before the council looks at it, they wanted to make sure the public had a look-see at it. And just give us your input, tell us what you like, what you don't like. This is the chance. We did some visioning originally when we were talking about the arena, but now that we need to put some real plans down, this is what we're ready to do. So it envisions, South Main Street having its own unique character, and how do you bring in residential with commercial, with tourism-related activities, with amenities that support the arena area. So all those little things need to get answered, but I think the public will be intrigued by what they see. You don't have to agree with everything. That's okay. But tell us what you don't like, because then we get a better feel for how we massage this before we finally present it to council.
Yes, and it is, if you can't make it on the 29th, it is available if you'd like to view it on the website as well, right?
Right, it's under one of our hot topics, so we encourage people to do that. But you don't need to spend a lot of time. It is an open house rather than a long meeting. So if you want to just swing by literally 10 minutes, and if you got a question or two, I would encourage you to look at it online. And then if you got questions, you can follow up with staff, and we'll have people there that can answer questions and take your input as well.
Yes, a very exciting development as we move forward with this, and we look forward to hearing the public's input on the plan and the presentation ultimately to council. Moving down our list, we got to have this on here. Snow. We've had a lot of snow in the last couple of weeks here in Oshkosh. It seems like it was a little bit of a delayed onset, but we just wanted to kind of talk about some of the reminders with the winter weather and maybe just a little update on how the city's been dealing with it. So first, tell us some of the things that we should be remembering with this.
As always, shoveling requirements for sidewalks is to remove snow within 24 hours of the snowfall. And if you could also help by clearing out the storm drains, that'll help you later on because that'll help things drain quicker.
Right.
And especially with this weather where it could go back between freeze and thaw, you want the storm drain to be clear. And then, of course, don't cover the fire hydrants or clean them out. You're not covering them. Mother Nature's covering them. But if you're blowing snow, be careful around that. And please don't throw snow in the street. You're really just kind of hurting yourselves because if we have to go through again, it's coming right back at you. So try to get it on the terrace. And I know some people have smaller terraces than others, but This is probably from a worse storm that we've had, but some of the storms recently have been more of annoying types, but they still create the same problems. The majority of our work crew, once a snowstorm is done with, they go to third shift. They do hauling of snow from the business districts and the main arterials. We do have a first shift crew that's hauling snow from like parking lots and cul-de-sacs and things like that. But when it starts snowing again, they're back in the plows to get rid of the snow. So we're doing okay on salt. Kevin Ewan, our street superintendent, reports we still have 3,300 tons of salt on hand. Really, really bad storm would deplete that quite a bit. But we still have 2,800 tons available in our reserve to order. So even though it's not in-house, we still have that coming to us. So we're in good shape for the season, knock on wood, barring anything else. But we will be there, and we'll be working on snow removal and certainly be patient. We have a route that we do, and somebody's first, somebody's last. So but bear with us, and we'll get to you.
Excellent. Well, thanks for the update on that. It's good to know that we are sitting pretty for the rest of the season. Fingers crossed that it's not too bad. While we're on the topic of winter weather here, we want to give a little promo for the Special Olympics Polar Plunge coming up at Menominee Park. And that's in mid-February here in a few weeks. So tell us a little bit about this, Mark.
February 14th, 15th, it's a great fundraiser for Special Olympics. You will notice that I am not in that picture, nor should you ever expect me. But the brave souls that do this, my heart goes out to them, and it's for a great cause. Just so everybody knows, on the 14th, our Oshkosh Police Department will be out there with their law enforcement counterparts in other communities to do a plunge event, and there's a little competition going on between the different police departments. So I say support your local police department, and if you want to be part of donating something, please do it. There's also other community groups that do it on the 15th, on the Saturday, and I encourage you to seek people out who are doing that fundraising. I've already been tapped by my son, so you won't be alone, and I'd much rather be a sponsor than a plunger.
Yeah, so that's the best way to get involved without having to actually plunge, right?
I'd rather open up my wallet than open myself up to humiliation. So anyway, it's a great cause in Menominee Park, and you can go down and watch all these crazy people jump in the water too.
Exactly, yes. All information is on the Special Olympics Polar Plunge website if you're looking for more on how to donate or get involved in other ways. Moving down our list of hot topics here, Mark, we've got the GO Transit has created a winter farmers market stop on their route. So hoping to make it a little bit more available for people to access that over at the arena.
We're hoping that people want to go to the farmers market, and so all we did was really just tweak Route 8 a little bit. There's enough flexibility in that schedule that really what we're doing, Route 8 goes south through this area, so it will just shoot over to South Main Street, just across from the arena, drop you off there at the corner of South Main and South Park, and then go back to Oregon Street and back on its merry way. So we really wanted to make the farmers market accessible, and this is a way to do it. The folks at the farmers market reached out, and we looked at it and said, oh, absolutely, we can pull this off. So we're making this just for the winter, just for Route 8, and the winter market runs through April. So, if you're not interested in doing it because you're doing polar plunge or something, that's okay. There's plenty of other Saturdays available throughout the winter that you can take advantage of the winter farmers market.
Definitely. And I encourage you to check out the GO Transit's website as well. They've got all the information on routes and everything, and they even have an app too. So be sure to check those out if you're looking on taking advantage of our public transportation here in Oshkosh. Moving down our list, of course, is the state of the city, and that is coming up before we know it, Mark. We're already in the main prep mode right now.
We sure are. It's a tad bit earlier this year. It's going to be on Monday, March 9th at 6 p.m. at the Oshkosh Convention Center. Doors open at 6, and then State of the City address, I'll start that around 6:30. But you come early, you get to meet a lot of the departments. Our City Exhibit Expo is part of that event. You get to meet face-to-face with department heads and people who are really working on things with the city. If you got anything you're interested in, stop by, and then you'll hear about some of our plans for 2020 and beyond, trying to take a decade look back and a decade look forward. I'm excited about it. I know you're having a lot of fun putting things together, getting ready for it.
Yeah, we're really looking forward. And 2020 is an exciting year to have a State of the City event. So like you said, a little bit of a preview of some of the things we'll be focusing on in the next 10 years. So definitely looking forward to that. March 9th, 6 p.m. at the Oshkosh Convention Center. More information to come. Moving down here, we've got strategic planning. Last episode, we talked about a meeting that took place with the supervisors and department heads on the strategic planning. Tell us about what's coming up next. You're going to be talking with council. It's council's turn to get together with department heads. And Wednesday, January 29th, we're going to be getting together to take a look at what the supervisors gave us. And council would like to get ready for our 2022 strategic plan by getting it done in the first quarter, which will enable us to have the strategic plan done and ready as we start working on the 2021 budget and our capital improvement program in the spring and summer. Okay, and when are we going to be looking at that on the council agenda to approve it? Do we have a date in mind yet? I think the goal is to have it done in the first quarter. So by April 1st, I think you'll have council looking at it in front of them and approving it. Perfect. Very important part of how our municipal government operates and part of goal setting and everything. So we look forward to hearing more details on that as the process continues. Upcoming events we've got to talk about here, the big one being the Jackson Street Corridor Plan and Safety Study. But there's another public meeting coming up that we want to talk about, and that is coming up on March 4th. Right. Our Jackson Street really is about two different areas, south of Murdoch and north of Murdoch. So we're doing a corridor study and paying particular attention to safety study south of Murdoch, primarily in that residential area. We're holding a public input meeting on March 4th, so you'll hear more about it at 6 p.m. at Oak Lawn Elementary, right there in your neighborhood. So come on over to Oak Lawn and take a look at what our latest version of the study is, where it's going. And again, give us your input. We want to know what you think about it. Your comments do matter in terms of what our final product is. So we really want to get your input and put something in there on your behalf. Yes, we encourage you to head out on March 4th, 6 p.m., Oak Lawn Elementary. Hope to see you there. Now, at this point in the show, Mark, we would usually do the question mark segment. However, we didn't get any questions this week, which is pretty rare, actually.
Shame on everybody. I look forward to those questions, everybody.
We blame the early January part of the year, right?
Little winter doldrums. We'll give you a break, but don't forget, we're still taking the questions.
Yes, definitely. So in lieu of that, we're going to take advantage of the time and promote a really fun week here in Oshkosh, and that's Restaurant Week. And I know you and I have already, it's the first day today, kicked off, and you and I have already taken advantage of it.
At different places, yeah. Visit Oshkosh. The Oshkosh Convention and Visitors Bureau sponsors that with area restaurants. There are specials for both lunch and dinner, and I think some places even have breakfast specials.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so it starts January 23rd, runs through February 2nd, so 2 weekends, and they've got great specials, all inclusive with appetizer, entree, and dessert. Mm-hmm. I think you went to Ground Round, I went to Manila, and there are probably several dozen other restaurant opportunities there. So check them out. And I understand there's a little special if you turn in your receipt to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. What do you get?
While supplies last, they said they've got a really cool little tumbler. So if you bring in your receipt from one of the Restaurant Week participating restaurants, you'll get one of those from 4 Imprint. They had donated them. But the full list of restaurants is available on the Visit Oshkosh website, and we encourage you to check it out and just kind of help support our local restaurants here.
Well, I forgot to take my receipt, so I have to go out again so I can go get one of those tumblers.
Exactly.
So that's my plan for next week.
Definitely, and I know I'll be back out there again too, taking advantage of that. So definitely check it out, and we encourage you to support our local restaurants here in Oshkosh. And so in lieu of the question mark, I'm still going to encourage us, we got to build up our questions mark. So if you'd like to send a question for the question mark segment here on CMR, send it to us on Twitter, post it on the Facebook wall, or email it to us, and he will answer it on the next episode of City Manager's Report. With that, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will go ahead and dive into the Common Council meeting agenda highlights for the upcoming meeting on January 28th. We'll be right back.
After a snow event, it is important to shovel out driveways, aprons, sidewalks, and fire hydrants as soon as possible. However, did you know that it is equally as important to clear storm inlets? As snow falls, is plowed, shoveled, and driven on, storm inlets become covered and blocked. As temperatures rise later, it is incredibly important that inlets are clear and open to drain rain or melting snow. This reduces the potential for pooling of water and street flooding. That ponded water will freeze as the temperatures dip back down. The City of Oshkosh encourages residents to become aware of storm inlets adjacent to their property and to please assist city crews in clearing them to keep their road free from flooding and freezing water. Thank you for helping to keep the streets safe and clear for pedestrians and motorists in the City of Oshkosh.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the highlights coming up on the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda for January 28th, 2020. So, Mark, first thing that we want to mention here is a meeting that's going to be taking place for a joint workshop with the Common Council, Plan Commission, Redevelopment Authority, and the Rental Housing Advisory Board. What are we going to be talking about at this workshop?
This is about our what's called our impediments to fair housing plan, as well as our consolidated plan for our community development block grant program. This is a federal grant program, and for the following 5 years, year 2020 through 2024, they want to see what our sort of grand plan is for our use of community development block grant dollars. Community development block grant is largely based on trying to create housing opportunities for the public. So impediments to fair housing is a huge part of that. And we have to demonstrate that we're working to make sure that people aren't being discriminated against with respect to housing. And so we were required to have somebody come in and do this report for us. Mm-hmm. And the group, it's out of Pittsburgh, is making a presentation to the council on Tuesday. And the council actually thought it would be good to have the Plan Commission and Redevelopment Authority and now the Rental Housing Advisory Board to be part of that, because impediments to fair housing do have a lot to do with rental housing. So it makes perfect sense. So the idea is to take a look at what we plan to do with our CDBG program, our Community Development Block Grant program, as well as identify any problems that we might have that might prevent us from promoting fair housing in the community. Certainly we want to correct those things if there are any issues.
Excellent. Well, should be a great discussion, and looking forward to that presentation taking place, and a lot of people involved in this really important issue. So, moving down into the consent agenda here, we've got the renewal of Bird City, Wisconsin designation. This is May 2nd, and designate May 2nd, 2020 as International Migratory Bird Day.
Our Sustainability Board has really supported getting the Bird City designation. Mm-hmm. We've had it for multiple years now, and this is just a way to encourage habitat that is that will work for migratory birds primarily, but birds in general. So they inhabit the trees, and so we want to make sure that they're safe in our parks. And so we're going to have an event and celebrate Migratory Bird Day on May 2nd coming up.
It's called Bird Fest. It's at Menominee Park. Starts at 6 a.m. with I believe it's called the Big Sit, when you do a lot of bird watching activities. And then it's tied into the gallery walk that evening. So check it out at OshkoshBirdFest.com. Moving down the consent agenda, we've got the professional agreement for $297,000. This is for the U.S. EPA Brownfield Assessment Grant. Tell us a little bit about what this is and how it's going to be affecting the area.
Brownfields are older industrial areas primarily that have contamination or the potential for contamination. We received a $300,000 grant from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, and what these funds are available for are to evaluate different properties in target areas and determine what level of contamination may be out there, and then identify a plan to get that cleanup. This helps make properties more attractive because we try to get through those issues. They're in great locations, but if they have contamination, it often is an impediment to people wanting to develop. So what we're trying to do is eliminate those impediments, and getting all this homework done in advance helps us get this done.
Great. Moving down the list, we've got the approval for purchase of 2020 police vehicles to Ewald Automotive Group, and this is for the Oshkosh Police Department. Tell us why this is on the agenda. How often are we purchasing vehicles here?
We purchase replacement squad cars, a portion of them every year, and we need to have that ongoing replacement because they go through some hard miles, a lot more than you and I do, and they're even harder because they're constantly running. We have an arrangement through the state of Wisconsin that they do a mass bid on this, and so we're going to be purchasing, I believe it's 5 vehicles or 6 vehicles this year to get into our fleet and help replace those ones that are on the time to retire list.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, you don't think about how often those cars are used and how long they're running, so it's an important item here. Right after that, we've got the approval for the fee schedule for sewer use charges. What's it looking like this year?
Well, nobody likes to talk about this, but we have to. Sewer rates are really a function of operating costs, which a lot of regulatory requirements we have to comply with, as well as replacing our plant, our sewers, so our capital improvement program, and then the debt that goes along with that. All those factors come into place. We're looking at about an 8% increase overall for our sewer rates. Sewer is only 1/3 of your bill, so you may not see that raise completely with just a sewer rate increase, but certainly we wanted people to be aware of that.
Excellent. Moving down the list here, we've talked enough about winter, so it's nice to see the Pollock Community Water Park is on here. This item is regarding the fee schedule, and that's going to be updated. It's been a while since we've updated the fee schedule, right?
Yeah, the only thing we're really updating this year is the daily rate to go to the pool if you don't have an annual pass. So it's going up about $1 per day. So if you visit it a lot, which you should, get an annual pass. But if you're just a infrequent visitor like I am, then maybe the daily pass goes, but it's going to go up $1 for a day pass. But it's a wonderful place, and I just love seeing the pictures and thinking about summer. So that's really why we have this on the agenda. But the fee increase is part of the deal, so we have to let people know that too. But we have a wonderful amenity with Pollock Water Park, and appreciate everybody involved in making that a success.
Definitely. Let's stay on the tangent here of the nice weather and move on to another item here, and this is dealing with Menominee Park. This is the approval of the sale of fermented malt beverages in Menominee Park. So tell us a little bit about what this is looking like here.
This is really more about a program that the Parks Department wants to do on Wednesday nights. We've had a really successful Live at the Leach series on Tuesdays during the summer. So we want to add a family-oriented event down on Wednesday nights at Menominee Park. But we do recognize if somebody wants to come down there and they want to purchase a beverage or something, an adult beverage, that an adult can do that. But our concession stands will already be open, so we're just adding that element in case an adult wants to purchase something. But it's still a very family-oriented event. We want to encourage that. But be on the lookout for the announcements about different programs that you're going to see over at Menominee Park this summer.
Yeah, it should be really fun. And like you said, we'll be posting any details that we hear of future little events that are around these too. Under new resolutions, Mark, we've got the approval for specific implementation plan for the office and retail development located at the north end of the 1600 block of Oshkosh Avenue. Tell us a little bit about what we can look forward to in this location.
A lot of questions recently about what's going in along Oshkosh Avenue. There was a hotel just recently approved by the council that'll be going up later this spring. This is another phase. This is immediately north and east of where the Casey's General Store was put in. So the idea is an office building on the back side of the lot, and then towards the front there will be about a 6,000 square foot retail place. It just says coffee on it right now. I think they're trying to attract a national chain. I'm not at liberty to say anything because right now really all it is rumor. I'm not sure if anything is nailed down. But both of these buildings are proposed to be started this spring. Plan Commission's already reviewed it. This has a pretty high standard. This is a new zone that we created called It's a corporate business park with a planned development overlay. So we have some pretty high standards, and this is what you're going to see, and I think it's going to look very nice. This is a 23,000 square foot office building, and I'm sure they're working on tenants right now so that they can start building. Usually they want to have at least one big tenant in there before they get started. So I'm sure that's what they're working on, and we're going to assist them in any way. But this is to get the ball rolling. I'm excited to see this development occur. This is private property. This isn't anything associated with any city property. So we're excited to see this go alongside Lakeshore Park and the new Oshkosh Corporation headquarters.
Very exciting to see all the development taking place down there, and they look like beautiful renderings, so looking forward to seeing that develop as it moves forward. Under council discussion and direction, city manager and future agenda items, we've got the recommendation from the ad hoc committee on the alternatives to special assessments. And how has this ad hoc committee been doing, and giving it a little update here?
They've been struggling and wrestling with some very complex issues. As you recall, the council rejected an idea to implement what was called a transportation utility fee, but they recognize they still want to do something. They still feel that they want to do something to reduce or eliminate special assessments because of the burden that places on property owners. So this committee for several months has been looking at different alternatives. They're prepared to make a recommendation. The chair of the committee is Council Member Matt Mugrauer, so he'll be reporting to the council on where we're at with this, what the recommendation is, and where we go forward. The recommendation, in summary, is that there's a proposed fee to replace all special assessments for streets and utility laterals with sort of a flat-based fee. It's a little different in the methodology. It's a little more for residents than it was previously, but I think the idea is that they're trying to balance all these different things, and that's not an easy job. But I think they gave it an honest effort, and no actions expected on Tuesday, no actions being requested. So it's really just to get the council up to date on where that is. We've got all the notes from the meetings on the website. You can certainly take a look at that and listen in and see what's going on. And we're going to be seeking public input. That was one thing the committee really wanted to see, is very active public input program. So look for future public input sessions to take place.
Yes, so this is definitely not the end of the conversation on this topic by any means. No action taken, but more of an update and a recommendation. Excellent. And then finally, we want to end on something kind of cool, and this is pretty cool. This is the cooperative purchase of the Trimble SX10 scanning station for the police department.
This is something that the police department has been wanting to replace. This is a three-dimensional scanning machine for crash sites. And this gives them the ability to develop a three-dimensional reenactment of a crash scene, so they can take that back to the station, study it some more, and it actually closes up a crash scene quicker because you get this equipment out there, you scan it, and then you take it back and analyze it at the office. So it's not a cheap piece of equipment, but it's being largely used in larger municipalities these days, and it really helps improve, because what happens is you're able to identify the real cause of an accident, and it really helps prevent future accidents. So we're excited, and we think the police department's really thinking big about this and wanting to get something done that'll really address crash scenes.
Wonderful. Well, you'll be giving more details on this at the end of the council meeting, so we look forward to that, and just a really great thing to end on, I think, here for City Manager's Report. So with that, we're out of time. So Mark, I'm going to go ahead and thank you for joining us today on this episode of CMR.
Always a pleasure.
Again, the Common Council meeting is this Tuesday, January 29th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website at oshkoshmedia.org, or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Make sure you like Oshkosh Media on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all of your community and government programming and updates, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of some of your favorite programs. And don't forget, as always, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, send it to us on Twitter, post it on our Facebook page, or email it to us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of CMR. So thanks once again for joining us on City Manager's Report, and we will see you next time.
This winter, pay attention, go slow, and stay in control while driving on Wisconsin roadways.